All right, y'all. So fight night is tomorrow. Let's take a final look at this one. Marina Rodriguez taking on Gillian Robertson. This is kind of like a battle of the opposite type of fight. Marina Rodriguez, she's 1-4 in her last 5 fights. At one time, she was close to a title shot, but now she's struggling for a victory. Gillian Robertson, on the opposite side, she's 4-1 in her last 5 fights, and that's all at 115. And in my opinion, she's looking better than ever. I think that Gillian Robertson's actually found her home here. We got a prime Gillian Robertson looking stronger, looking better on the feet, and just also looking more confident and just looking strong at this weight. Marina Rodriguez on the downside, Gillian is on the way up. So yeah, this is a meet in the middle type of fight. This is a must win for Marina Rodriguez. Big step up for Gillian to see if she can make her way all the way to the top, or even just make it to the top 5 or towards the title eliminator. But we'll see. Looking at Marina Rodriguez first. Marina, y'all know I'm a big fan of Marina as far as her stand-up game. I always give her credit with that. She's got good power, good right hands, good hooks, and just good clinch game whenever she gets into that war which on the inside with certain fighters. But I'm going to be honest, Marina Rodriguez, good stand-up fighter, good striker, but just not a really good, well-rounded fighter. Haven't really seen her evolving at all in the past 3 or 4 years. Marina's always dependent on her power and her stand-up game. But once she gets taken down, she's pretty much drowning. She's pretty much going to get drowned whenever she gets taken down. Like, she's not going to get submitted. She's got good submission defense, but when it comes to getting back to her feet, it's non-existent. Even her takedown defense is non-existent. Like, ground game, takedown defense, haven't really seen no evolution there. And that's just been her downside. And that's how come she's lost that title opportunity, that title shot opportunity. And, that streak has just been broken. I mean, the Lemos fight was more so of a power type of fight. But had she had more of a ground game, maybe she could have turned into a wrestler against Amanda Lemos, right? There could have been other options than just, trying to strike with somebody that has more power. But even if you look at some of her last few fights, like against Yasmin Lucindo, Jessica Andrade, those type of fighters, when they got outstruck by her, what did they do? They took her down, right? They had that other plan B to go to. They had the other weapon to go to. So Marina Rodriguez, she's really in need of takedown defense in a ground game. But at this point of her career, I don't know if she'll be able to evolve that fast. Getting up there in age, and like I said, 1-4. Now you're going against a young, hungry lion like Gillian Robertson. I don't know if you can just evolve that quick, overnight like that. Nah. On the other side, Gillian Robertson, she's doing the opposite. And Gillian Robertson, she's one of those fighters, I used to always get flack for, as far as her stand-up game, but had great jiu-jitsu, great finisher on the ground, good ground and pound and all that. But when it came to her stand-up game, I was like, no, it's not there. But unlike Marina, she's actually improving there. She's actually a little bit more confident on the feet. She's connecting more. So you see her actually turning into a well-rounded fighter, unlike Marina. So, yeah, you really see the opposites here, right? I think Gillian Robertson really found her home here at strawweight, still on the come up, beat fighters like Poliana Viana, Piera Rodriguez, Michelle Waterson herself, so she's showing those skills, she's showing those skills right now. So, yeah, she deserves to step up against Marina Rodriguez. Marina Rodriguez, though, man, going into this fight against Gillian, she just really needs to do what works best for her in this type of fight. She really needs to be sharp on it, and she really needs to make sure that her takedown defense is sharp. It's got to be sharp in this type of fight. I really don't care about her ground game at all, because that's something you don't want to go up against Gillian Robertson, who's a black belt and just too polished for her. This is just one of those fights where Marina needs to keep it standing 100%. Marina needs to do something else that she doesn't do a lot of, which is jab. I don't see Marina using the jab a lot. For a striker, she doesn't use her jab like a Joanna or like, even like Rose. She's not pumping that jab out there enough. I just don't see her, setting that right hand up with it. She usually leads with the right hand, but I could imagine how many girls she could knock out if she just masks the right hand with the jab. So in this type of fight here against a grappler who's going to come forward and look to take her down, she's going to need to use that measuring stick. She's going to need to constantly pump out that jab, consistently pump out that jab on Gillian and just bust her up with it till she finds that right hand lead. And that'll open up all the other shots. So I just need to see her throwing leg kicks, no teep kicks or body kicks in this one, because Gillian will grab that and take her down. So leg kicks, jabs, and lateral movement. Just keep rinsing, repeating that, staying in the center of the cage, keep her back off the cage, stay away from the black line, and don't back straight up against Gillian. She just needs to stay in the center and put on a striking clinic. Simple as that. Gillian Robertson, on the other hand, I think she has the ability to use a little bit of everything in this fight, because that's how she's going to have to really test herself. I think she's going to need to work body kicks here, body kicks and leg kicks, because she doesn't have to worry about being taken down. Maybe a counter right hand if she throws a body kick off balance. But other than that, I think that, she's going to have to mix up striking and not just dive in and use the old drag down on Marina. Gillian needs to work her way in with combinations, kind of like Ankalev did against Pieta. If you find her stiffening up a little bit or freezing up against the cage, throw those combinations and then grab her, clinch, and body lock her and take her down. So Gillian Robertson, like I said, that's why it's important that, she improves her stand-up game. So it'll start masking takedowns. She won't be going in there telegraphing the same thing. So I think she really needs to just commit to, angles and leg kicks, and even a counter or jab of her own, counter the jab of Marina. If Marina's not throwing her jab, throw her own jab, to back Marina into the cage. And that's where, she needs to let the combination go and latch on to Marina and control that clinch to avoid Marina transitioning into a tie clinch and then get the fight to the ground. So I think it's really important that Gillian mixes it up, but use the striking enough to get the fight to where she needs it, which is the ground. All right. But with that being said here, this one is kind of hard to call for me. I think that Gillian definitely has the tools now to come in here and get the fight to the ground where it needs to be. I could actually see her scoring a TKO with ground and pound. She's done it before with other girls where she just beat them up even at 125. She could possibly be the first one to submit Marina Rodriguez, because she is tough like that. She's a specialist on the ground, But I think that Marina understands her assignment here. And I think that she's one of those fighters that might wake up and see how bad her losing streak is, 1-4, and knows that her career is on the line. And she's going to want to come in here and make a big statement. This fight might be like the Amanda Ebos fight. I made that mistake of picking Amanda Ebos against Marina. That was like one of the first times I ever picked against Marina. And Marina went in there and, landed the big shot. She lost the first round, I remember, but, she came back and set up the big right hand. So if Marina is able to fight behind her jab here and stay in the center of the cage, just keep it consistent with her stand-up game and not fall for any level changes here or backing into the cage, she could easily outstrike Gillian. She could easily outstrike her like that, maybe even score a TKO. So with that, I think I'm going to give Marina the edge in this one. Again, like I said, this might be the last time. Could be the last time, because if she loses this, I won't be able to pick her no more because they'll cut her, right? But I'm going to have to rock with Marina one more time here. I think she'll get a decision win. It's going to be close, but I'm really not surprised if Marina was to get finished by Gillian at this point, because she's on a tear. Gillian hasn't fought a high-ranked opponent before like this, but I think she's prepared for whatever Marina gives. So, hey, may the best woman win, but I'm going to rock with Marina on this one, y'all, by decision. What do y'all think? Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.